Hello, good evening. Okay, so we had a little bit of a moment as well just now, just not sure why the systems are all unstable. Of course, energetically we know why, okay, because it is now pretty much into the new month. Officially, we started today on August the 7th. This is the Wood Monkey month itself. Last night, of course, if you were following this, we were supposed to do the Outlook yesterday evening, but because of the internet disruption, then of course we could not continue. So thank you so much if you tuned in last night, and of course you're watching it tonight as well. So I appreciate your patience. Thank you very much. And before we get really started with the forecast, as always, just going to give it a couple of minutes for me to make sure that everything is now A-OK before I continue with it. And of course, during this moment, if you can help us like and also share this feed out, especially when you think this sort of information, the outlook, the forecast, will benefit the people in the timeline, then please also help me like and share. And if you can do me a favor, if you are watching this from my page, Kong Yu Public Figure, if you are not yet a follower, it will be appreciated if you could do so. If you're watching this from any of the other main platforms, the Jesse Lee main page or the Solil Trinity page, if you can also head down to my page, Kong Yu, the public figure one, and of course give me a follow there, that will be really appreciated. Plus, of course, by doing that, you'll be notified every time I go live, every time I post something, every time I do a reel, for example. So you'll be connected immediately and you'll have the immediate notification pop up on your timeline. Yeah. So before I get started, if you can just give me some feedback as of last night, for example, just like last night, if you can give me a feedback as to how this stream is going. Is it going smooth? Is it audio-wise? Is it clear and all that? It will be really appreciated. So I'm just going to get that confirmation before I get started on the outlook for... Oh wow, somebody's entered the portal. Okay. Mocha. Hello. Okay. Hey, I guess he can... Okay, but you might see him pop by. So he's also wanting to jump through the portal that the monkey is looking into. So let me know, give me some feedback. I want to make sure that everything is okay across the pages that we're streaming this across, right? On my page, Jesse's page, Solil Trinities. So let me know. Okay, drop me a comment, say hello. And also, how are you in anticipation of the monkey month, which has officially started today? So if you can do that, that would be really, really appreciated. Right, drop a hello and confirm that the video and then the audio is smooth, and then I will get the slides out immediately. So can you do that? Okay, Shirley Jones, it sounds great. Appreciate it, Shirley. Okay, that's on the Jesse page, I believe. Right, anybody else? I see a whole bunch of viewers on the Kong Yu page, so if you can just let me know that, and then we will get started. Jen Ho, thanks so much. Loud and clear. Okay, can breathe a big sigh of relief because once in a while, okay, we have all this strong energy convergence all happening at the same time. It's of course also towards the last portion of Mercury retrograde, and then we will be faced with a technical issue that makes us wake up a little bit. Because remember, every time we go into some sort of retrograde phase, especially when it comes to Mercury, because Mercury is our closest or fastest vibration, right? Because it's the planet that is the smallest, that's orbiting smallest orbit around the sun, right? So it's got to do with the day-to-day connection overall, sound waves, for example, immediate vibrational waves, and so on. So that's why those aspects tend to generally, as they say, go haywire, because those are under review, right? We're looking into how those energies are basically being affected at the moment, and then at the same time also, what can we do with the things like miscommunication, the breakdowns in communication, the breakdown in equipment, things like that. Taiva says, hello from Melbourne, thank you so much. Hi Angel, who's joining into the fun as well, okay? So let's just get started. So we're going to be talking about the very powerful August Wood Monkey month, which has already started, and it is super powerful. I don't know whether you guys can feel it, but if you do, let me know how's your day been, how's the past couple of days been, and of course, keep us updated on how the next few days will be, because the next few days will be really, really instrumental because they define the start of a new season. They define, of course, the new season by the start of the Wood Monkey month, which kicks off autumn 2025, amongst other key factors, right? So the first one, of course, is the animal sign that is to do with growth. It's got to do with instability to some extent, and remember, changeability, because with growth, and any time we talk about growth, we're also talking about changes. So we always want to grasp the opportunity to change for growth, and instead of having growth or changes imposed on us. So August is the first of the metal autumn months, and in this case, of course, we have the wood monkey, or Jia Shen. Okay, so taking a deeper look at the wood monkey, so we have the wood, which is the yang wood that's on top, right, which is the whole of last year. We had yang wood on top accompanying the dragon. So now it comes back in the monthly fashion. Of course, for now, it is appearing with the monkey. And the monkey itself, of course, is the animal sign of the month. And this is a few different things. For example, I said it's the growth animal sign. So it's got to do with movement, changes, to some extent instability, because when we want to grow, for example, it will always involve some sort of change, some sort of lack of status quo or no status quo, so that we can move towards change. So that's why it's always related to movement, travel, instability, and things like that. In classical terms, it's also called a sky horse. And most importantly, each of the growth animal signs, each of the sky horses, of which there are 4, right? There's the monkey, tiger. There is also the other 2 as well, monkey, tiger, pig, and also the snake, right? So for example, the whole year is also a growth year. And because each of these growth animal signs are also related to the portals, because they are situated next to a gua. So if you look into the 24 mountains directional arrangement, then you will see that, right? There are 12 animal signs. There are basically the heavenly stems accompanying north, south, east, west, water, fire, wood, and also metal. And then there are the 4 guas, Sun Gua, Kun Gua, right, Qian Gua, and also Gen Gua, right? And the movement from the gua to the animal sign of growth next to it. So in this case, of course, would be Kun Gua, which is basically southwest 2, moving into the monkey, which is in southwest 3. So that is a portal. So which portal? This is specifically the human's portal. And this is where the portal of the monkey, right? Every year, when you correlate it to Western astrology, it would be called the Lion's Gate. So it is, in a sense, special on that particular perspective. And then while we're on this particular topic, so what is actually the Lion's Gate at its most fundamental, right? So it's basically the sun at this particular point in time, right? Because when we talk about the day-to-day measurement, so we measure it basis the solar calendar, right? Whether it is the Western solar calendar or it is the actual Chinese solar calendar, it doesn't matter. It's just that the cutoff dates are different, and the spacing in between the cutoff dates and the interseasonality is actually in between each one. But because they're solar, so they're spaced out pretty much about 2 weeks apart from each other. So that's why the start of each Western sign will be about 2 weeks in the middle of the Chinese sign, and vice versa, depending on how you look at it. So similarly, when we start off the monkey month, right, plus minus 1 day, because the monkey month officially starts according to the Chinese solar calendar today, August the 7th. But August 8th is always conveniently used as a marker for the middle of the Leo season, right? So Leo season started about, a couple of weeks ago, and then now we're right smack in the middle, where, of course, when we're right smack in the middle of each particular phase, then we're actually at the peak. So in Western astrology sense, right, the sun is now in the peak of its home sign, because the sign of Leo is ruled by the sun itself. So each of the Western zodiacs has a ruling planet as well. So some of it is considered as a traditional ruling planet, and sometimes they have a more modern version of a ruling planet. But the sun in Leo is just the sun in Leo. So when we reach the peak position of the Leo season itself, August 8 thereabouts, then we have, of course, the sun in its home planet in its fullest yang or deepest yang. And that is the most important definition of the Lion's Gate, right? There are a lot of different theories about the alignments and things like that. So for this particular Lion's Gate, I've done a bit more research, and there is some contradiction, and there's some dispute over what it really means and how big an alignment it actually shows and things like that. So, but we, for our purposes, we don't concern too much with that. We just know that the sun at its deepest level means that in terms of our soul, because our soul is correlated to the sun, Right? So there is a return or there is a belonging of each of our souls back to its original home, which by and large essentially is the sun, because the sun is the ruler of our solar system. And for earthlings, okay, that we have that as our main star. So that's why, right, our soul, our area that's in between our solar plexus and also related to the heart, because you may have heard like when you talk about the Leo sign, for example, it's all about courage. It's all also about following our true heart and hence our authenticity, right? So that whole area, which basically anchors down our strength as human souls, right? Or souls that are embodying a human body, right? So that strongest anchor, right, is powered by the sun itself. So as we enter the monkey month, right, in particular, the monkey month itself, right, so we have that anchor towards our soul itself at its most authentic. And if we allow a blending of that power of our soul with the authenticity and the openness of our heart, then that's when we are most in tune with our self, our soul itself. So that's the significance, of course, of the Lion's Gate per se. But of course, this year we have a lot of phenomena, other astrology that is converging around that. So that's why it's not just any other year, right? Of course, if we look into Chinese astrology, then the year itself exists within the wood snake year itself, right? So the wood snake year defines the main energy that we must always connect back to, because again, each year is predicated by a particular one cycle around the sun itself, right? So that's why every time we want to talk about even the monthly astrology, we always, in my opinion anyway, right, strongly correlate it back to Tai Shui, which is the year. So this is the year of the wood snake. And in particular, of course, we have the theme, which is basically yin wood, which is diversification, sideways type of growth, following from Jia wood last year. So from the structural, foundational type of growth, which we're supposed to maximize with heaven's blessings last year, this year we move towards the sideways, lateral, creative, decorative, PR-based, marketing-based, and branching out type of a growth compared to last year. So that is what we have with the blessings from heaven, and how that changes overall through the year is the thing that we also talk about in this particular forecast. So we will also address that. And then at the same time, of course, Tai Shui, right? The main influence of it is basically the human karmic lessons, which is contained in the snake. So however the snake shakes up our chart, the opportunities that it brings, the challenges to overcome so that we learn something, we gain some wisdom from the snake, is the key to the year itself. And because the snake itself, right, it's basically a very, very transformative and potentially deep animal sign, right? When we pair it with the dragon, so the dragon's already over, okay, we push it aside first, but now we're in the snake. So when the snake comes in, then of course we work a lot on the depths of healing, especially through the extrication of the 5 poisons. So you've heard me talk about that at length, right? But when we continue the rest of the year, and when the snake is particularly activated, like for example the monkey month, it becomes even more important. So that's why when we interact both together, then we will have a clear understanding of how powerful this particular energy is. So on one level, we have the so-called Lion's Gate, right, which is for Chinese astrology basis is today, a day earlier, but it's okay, right? So the Western one, that's why we have the honoring of the Western 8-8, right? So that's why our Lion's Gate event is still on 8 and not on 7, right? But it's roughly the same, how to say, plus minus that one day, but it basically is activating the same thing. So this particular transition to the wood monkey is very important. So more on that, right? And as we explain the rest of the technicalities. So the monkey starts autumn, and one particular thing before I forget, every summer there is a rather abrupt shift from summer to autumn. Because we're talking about when summer fire element is the strongest, and with fire, of course, comes earth, and the earth will start to pile and stack, especially from the mid of the horse month, mid of June, the month itself, and then particularly when we go into the goat month of July. So because July goat is pretty much clearly in terms of its overt energy, it's earth, right? So that's why we have the pile up starting. And then after that, it abruptly shifts to metal energy. So that's why in terms of, for example, the health of our lungs, respiratory system and all that, right? So normally this abrupt shift can also cause a lot of issues with those organs of our body, because we're going from strong fire with earth and suddenly it's metal, sort of like sinking, right? It is collating, right? And we're supposed to extract it from there. So when we get to the autumn season, the first month of it is rather abrupt. So the shift is of the energies is usually sudden. But in this case, it is prolonged. Why? Because technically speaking, right, we have the monkey, when we look at the month pillar of the wood monkey alone, right? We have the wood monkey, which innerly, right? So inside this whole pillar of the wood monkey itself, right? We have the connection of yang metal, which is the main chi that is in the monkey, right? Striking or cutting or chopping the yang wood that is sitting on top. So this whole pillar contains fire by itself, even though it's not overt, right? And that's just part of the nuances of studying the pillars, individual pillars of Ba Zi. So that's why this pillar contains its own potential for fire. So that's why when we look at it alone like that, right, then we know that there is a chance for us to prolong the summer fire compared to the monkey being paired with the other four heavenly stems. So in this case, because it's paired with wood, Geng, metal, chop, Jia, wood, Yang wood, it lures fire and can produce and burn Ting fire, which is the main fire that we are usually connected to when it comes to the summer energy, right? So that's why we have a prolonging of the fire energy. Now, fire energy is what? Fire energy is the energy that we need from the more mundane, regular stuff. It's about powering up our energy, right? You need fire to basically activate a lot of things, right? To kickstart something, you need fire. So that's why it's correlated to motivation, passion, a certain aliveness, a certain push to get things done, and so on and so forth, right? So fire is very important for that. But more importantly, fire is what? Transformative. It's the agent of transformation. So to get anything done, right, especially on a more massive scale, to transform something, to produce something, to make something out of a whole bunch of different things, right? You need the element of fire. So it is the element that creates magic. So it is important for creation, getting things done, right? You can manifest, you can have the ideas and thoughts, you can send out intention, but in the real world sense, if you want to actually get that manifestation transformed into reality, you have to go through fire first. Then only the reality starts to appear. It basically sinks and appears as earth, and then from the earth you extract the last final result as metal. And then the cycle starts again. So you have that fire for transformation and creation and so on for extended into August for 2025. So that's on one layer, right? Now what about the other layer? So then let's look into the interaction between the monkey and the year of the snake itself. So we have, first of all, on top. So let's talk about that. Because the top is heaven's blessings, right? What is the heaven gifting us, and how do we shape that energy, and how does it shape and how does it evolve throughout the year? So Yi Wood has been the dominant, the whole year's heavenly stem, which is basically what I call as the annual theme. And then every single month, right, there is a different heavenly stem that comes in. So this month, the wood monkey, wood is actually Jia wood, Yang wood, and this Yang wood on its own, in isolation, right, it is something that is supportive of Yi wood. So in Ba Zi studies, right, those of you who are practitioners who have done certain levels of study, you know that Yi wood always is helped by Jia wood. That is a structural thing. Does it always need it, and to what extent, and whether how strong is it, how unfavorable and how favorable? That's a different question, right? And that depends on the situation, the chart, the timing, and so on and so forth. But appearance of Jia wood to Yi means that, okay, the big brother is here, right, to support the Yi wood, which is conniving and it's strategic and so on, and it knows how to deal with things. It's very social. It's able to bend left, right, center, 360 degrees all around. But the Jia wood gives it that strength of the support or the foundation of the pillar. So you have that happening on top. So that means there is an opportunity for us to gain structural support, to have something pull us up if we deal with the human crap, right, that's happening at the earthly branches, the animal science level, right? If we deal with that as much as we can, right, then the heaven gift on top has the chance to basically give us, like I said, a bit of an upper hand, a boost, a hold up, right? Structural support being held up for that is the ultimate gift that we can channel from heaven this month, provided we deal with what's happening at the bottom. But at the bottom, it is happening on two layers. So we have the opportunity, right, that is more fire-based. Let's talk about that. What does that mean? So when we talk about the ability to use the fire that is now extended to us, if we want to use it in a transformative way, that means we want to create things. We want to what? Transform states. You have a current situation, you want to change the current situation, you need a transformation process. Unless you're just breaking. If you break without any change, then of course you don't need a transformation, right? You need more of a letting go, right? And if you come together, right, there probably is more of a requirement for you to transform something because you need to fuse together. So that's more on a combination basis, right, which is another layer of the energy. But when you want to break and you want to change from one state to another, so break up and then after that you also merge, for example, or you simply just want to get things done. You want something you've been putting energy, you've been putting work into it, you've developed like communications and linked things up, and now you want to start to see results. You want to kickstart the alchemy process so that it will lead to the results that you want next, right? Then you need fire. So in this case, the fire that is an additional element here that can be produced is going to rely more on what? The shakeability, changeability energy, which is more of the destruction. Monkey is relating to snake on three perspectives. One is a combination, the second is a destruction, the third, which is ungrateful punishment. So I think as a head start, I think Jessie will address that part a little more through the Serpent's Gate tomorrow, right? Which is happening tomorrow night. So that event is partly an understanding from the mind perspective, the theoretical perspective of how important this particular Lion's Gate is. That's why we call it the Serpent's Gate, right? Which is the more of putting on the other astrology elements. And then I'll be doing some guidance in terms of meditation, and then Nicole will be leading the sound for that. So that's going to be an opportunity for us to do many layers of the work in terms of the different layers of the energy, right? One of it is actually to work with the destruction of the snake with the monkey itself, right? So that means what? A splitting apart. That's one possibility. A change, a shift, right? Not as abrupt as a clash, but in terms of adjustment. How do we use a shake-up energy, which is already being empowered and triggered by Uranus going into Gemini, right? Coming out from Taurus in the early parts of July, right? That's the energy is already being powered and supported since months ago, in fact, especially with the shift of Uranus moving to Gemini in in July itself. So that is already what's happening underneath. And then we look into, of course, with the goats animal sign that we just had in July itself, the July energy itself. Then again, you have that ability for us to shake up based on the current reality that we have faced. Okay, then leads very nicely into this August monkey month, and that second layer of energy, the destruction ability, gives us the opportunity to shift and change. And with the fire's support, with what fire is able to do and help us in terms of transformation. But of course, every time we put a lot of fire and we use it in the transformative sense, right? Remember, it is never comfortable. So with that shake-up, with the change and the transformation opportunity to move from one state, one reality even to another state, it always comes with work, right? We will always need to put in the work, and we will always need to go through the so-called discomfort of it. Because change is never easy. What more when we talk about transformation involving massive amounts of fire, right? So if everything is going on a very comfortable way, and yeah, you might be seeing some growth and development, that is not the transformation of fire that I'm talking about, right? That is some other elements which are at play. But what is one level of the energy that we can use is actually the extended fire energy that we have into the month of August, which normally will be it would have died down already, especially by the middle of the month itself. But in this case, there is a prolonged ability for us to use it, right? So for Anne Ang, for example, she said, sounds good there. So I hope you're able to embrace it and then, of course, use this in the most productive sense for you. But like I said, it involves sacrifice because fire burning is sacrificial as well. And it involves discomfort, going through and facing and embodying that transformation process itself. So that's on one level. Then on the combination level, right? So this is very supportive for wood, because when we just purely look at transformation level, we have the ability to combine, right? Which is the combination between the year of the snake with the month of the monkey. And in this combination, it can produce water. To what extent and all that, it really depends because it's our personal energy that we have to put into the equation. Then we know for sure, right? But in this case, right, the combination of monkey and snake, right? Of course, it dissolves the fire of the snake, right? It lowers it, it dims it in some extent, but it then can lead to the production of water, and of course, water can produce wood, right? So water produces wood here. So this means that the coming together, the new things which are being formed, the new bonds, for example, that is more water element basis, can of course ultimately produce the woods which are present as Jia wood in the month and Yi wood, better still, as the annual theme or a heavenly stem of Tai Sui itself. So in other words, it can support growth, right? Whatever new combinations coming together and so on, new collaborations, new relationships and all that, there's a possibility that it will support the growth that is being championed and gifted to us this year. Because the next year when we go strictly into Ping fire, right, and Ting fire the following year, then that is, in terms of the heavenly energy, it's all about the energy of transformation, the energy of alchemy already, right? So whatever growth you maximize this year, right, starting from the foundation and structural growth of last year, and then you burn it all into the big inferno that's coming up. And I was telling a lot of my personal clients, right, we actually feel the inferno of 2026 because we're linked astrologically, right? If you have been following astrology for a while, if you believe it, right, you believe it, you follow it, you flow with it, right? Because when we're exposed to something, we may have some resistance and all that. So, but let's say, for many of you who follow our work, you already are believers and then you rely on it or you use it as your life guidance, right? You are activating energies earlier, especially both astrological energies, and also if you practice feng shui, you will be more connected to it and you would be able to feel it earlier on. So if you're in that state, like many of my clients, right, then actually our connection to 2026 has been happening for the past few months. That's how beautiful it is, and I can actually feel it also, right, all around me. So that's why, right, jump on the bandwagon, do the work, but acknowledge that the snake, okay, this is a big reminder here, right? The snake needs healing and transformation. Or rather, the snake needs healing to be able to give you the gift of transformation. That's very important. So if we have up to now, right, we're half year already over into the snake year is already half over, right? We have a big opportunity now to do that realignment work, right? That means to work with the acknowledgement of what 5 poisons have arisen in us, okay? So that we can continuously work on the depths of what we need to extricate, heal, then can transform and free up the energy so that we can use it in a positive way, right? The snake is here to do that, and we only have half a year left of it. So if you've been sitting around pretty, you're just enjoying the ride of your life and you've been flowing without really doing the deep healing work that is afforded and also urged by the snake, you will be limiting yourself when the fire completely engulfs us once February comes, right? Because after that, it'll be like, whoosh, this big inferno, right? Whole thing engulfs in fire starting from February. Of course, there are transition points before that, okay? But today is not the session to talk to delve into those details, right? So, for example, one of the main things that will help us do that is the Phoenix and Sacred Flame, which is coming up in September, right? Which is the workshop that will be taught by Jesse, focusing on 2026 and 2027. So a lot of information will be there. But beyond that, just remember that when we skip the lessons of the animal science, because the animal science are supposed to teach us karmic lessons. And when we skip it, like for example, if we skip the snake animals lessons, then when we get to the horse, you can't reverse it because the fire will just come in and it will just be swept into the manifestation or reality based on the karma that you have accumulated on, karma in general. We talk about it, not just like a payback sort of a thing, right? Whatever you have done and whatever work that energy to ripen, whether it's so-called favorable or unfavorable, it will immediately ripen through, you can say, through the year of 2026. So that's just a big reminder. Do not waste the snake's depths of healing. Okay? So if you've not done any of that confrontation of the inner demons and the deepest, darkest secrets, the deepest stuck, very sticky energy that's still out there, right? please do something about it. Please acknowledge it, dig it up, so that you can use the energy of the snake while it's still here, right? So one of the biggest opportunities to use it is to do it in August. Okay, so that's why we're blessed, because August comes with a whole bunch of energy that gives us that, right? Underlying it is these two bases that we have here, right? So we have the monkey directly combining the snake to produce the water element that can support growth overall, and then we have the destruction that is afforded in the same relationship, and then of course combined within these two will be ungrateful punishment. That means the test is on gratitude, the feelings of what the gratitude that you feel that you deserve, right? The attachment you can feel holding on to expectation of gratitude, and of course the opposite, the ingratitude that you may have activated, the karma that you are producing by being ungrateful in terms of the growth that you've been afforded, or the opportunities of growth that you have denied yourself, and so on and so forth. So that's at the psychological level when we factor in the ungrateful punishment part of it. But in terms of the elements, right, the fire element is the one that is more enabled because of the combination with the Jia Wu there, and then you have the opportunity to work on that level. So actually, right, this year has been very magical in that the season of summer, right, comes with water and fire. So starting from the June Water Horse month, right, and that's why my last on-ground workshop, right, was based on that. We have the elements of water and fire. That means one is on creation, and the other one is on destruction and transformation, right? It's same thing. It is prolonged not only into July, Kui Wei, which is a water goat, but goat, of course, we have the earth, that is the sticky part that we all dealt with throughout July, right? The reality of what we have created, the reality of what we need to unstick ourselves from, and so on, to be able to move forward. Then we come to August, we again indirectly have these two elements of water and fire present, and of course, this is one of the months of 2025 itself, which comes with the 5 elements, right? So if you look into the month stacking with the year, right? The wood monkey stacked together with the wood snake, you see with all of its stems, including heavenly stems hidden in the hidden heavenly stems, right? Hidden stems, sorry. Then you see that all the 5 elements are present, right? You can see down there, Wu earth, Geng metal, Ren water. Then we have Geng as well, of course contained as a seed in the snake. And then you have Peng fire as the main chi of the snake. And then you have also the Wu earth as a sub chi, right? So everything is, the 4 are there, and then of course you have the stems, the wood stems which are on top. Okay, quick hello to Molly and also to Jennifer. Hi Jennifer, right? Hope you're doing wonderful. Long time no see, yeah? So moving on, right? So quick hello to Hui as well. And speaking of hellos, I'll just get Nicole to check the ST comments. No one's commented there? Okay, just let me know when there is a comment there, and then we will move on, right? So in other words, there are 2 levels of energy which are present at its availability when we talk about the wood monkey month. That is based on the interaction of the 2 itself. Okay, so let's talk about this because this is very exciting. So as we enter today, okay, connecting to tomorrow, okay, like I was saying, right? So the Lion's Gate at its core, right? There's a lot of talk about the alignments to Star Sirius and all that, but putting that aside, because there's some controversy and all of that regarding those typically accepted parts of the Lion's Gate. But what it is at its heart, literally, right, is the sun at the heart of depth. That means because our souls are pegged on to, right, the northern star, our northern star of our solar system is the sun itself, right? The sun is our star of our solar system. So we have that connection to our soul at its depth, every point around this time of the year. So when we have this, it is where we can be at our most authentic, and when we are at our most authentic, we are also then at our most courageous, right? Though the fears which limit us, the fears which hold us back are easily understood or lessened or dissolved. So that's why this is a good time to get anchored down to the heart. And then at the same time, there's a few different things which help us do that, right? It's the peak of yang energy. It's of course what the TCM side of things allocate as the dog days period, right? Where yang energy is at its peak, and then also with the connection to our physical body and so on. So that's why from TCM we take the opportunity to use this great yang energy to warm up our body. I'm just using a very layperson's term, right? So that we can work on or heal or tend to and nourish, right, potential winter illnesses earlier using the strong yang energy. It's not just heat, right? Because it's yang overall in summer, right? To pre-treat winter illness. So the San Fu Tian, from the TCM perspective, is used like that. So that's why with our in-house TCM practitioner, Anne, right? So she's been doing the series of workshop there. And please, there is one last one that is on August 9th, which is on Saturday. And that is the start of the last phase, the last 10 days of this San Fu Tian period. And so it's a very, very good day to do the last phase of your attunement for your physical body, right? And then if you follow Navigating Period 9, Jesse's public mid-year talk, then that San Fu Tian is used in the energy of the home, right? Moving the energy of the home so that you're using the yang, strong yangness of the peak of summer, and you're circulating it around the home so that you move the energy, you activate the energy, you basically keep it in a more yang fashion so that you are able to lift the yin areas of the house and so on. So that's why it is more of a circulation-based thing, right? When we talk about the body as represented by the physical space and the home. Okay, so now back into this. Now, why is this particular so-called Lion's Gate, or the opening into the Monkey Man and the opening hence into the Human's Portal, even more activated compared to normal? Okay, because it is happening, okay, from the Western astrology perspective, happening with the Mercury retrograde also in the sign of Leo. So this is the sun's sign, home sign. And the retrograde that's happening ever since July 18th, I believe, right? So lasting officially up to August 10th or 11th, the few days ahead from now, that is going through, right? That means the planet of communication, day-to-day connections and so on, right, is moving through this sign, which is the sun sign, and it's the sign that's activated by the timing where we are now. Mercury can retrograde, and first of all, Mercury can go anywhere because the phase of how it travels is fast, right? Because it's our smallest orbit energy. It is about the immediate linkage, immediate communication, immediate vibration, if you want to look at it that way, right? And it can basically be any part of the 360 degrees, right? But it just so happens to be traversing in Leo, which is the sun's home sign. Then, at the same time, it is retrograding. So when it's retrograding, it means it's doing what? It's doing it's bringing things up, shall we say? Bringing things up so we can better resolve it. When we resolve the energy, of course, we are healing the energy and we're transmuting it so that hopefully it has become more useful. In the general sense, you can say it is positive. So Mercury can be anywhere, but it's in the sun sign, home sign. And it can be doing forward movement. Of course, it retrogrades the most compared to the other planets, right? But it is also doing the retrograde. So that's why this is an opportunity to for things to arise that need to be looked into. So again, it's correlated into, for example, right? Once it's happening now, it is of course correlated to the snake year. And snake year is about what? Extricating, right? Whatever healing that we need to do, right? Through the appearance of the 5 poisons. So that's why retrograde period perfect, right? And we've been undergoing it ever since the core of July already, right? So the past couple of weeks, we already have experienced it. So you would see whatever that needs to be unstuck, whatever that needs to be resolved, whatever mess you need to address, it's for you to be able to take those under your wing, right? Address them, right? In some sense, you can say heal them so that you can better move forward. So take the opportunity to do so. And now we have the ability to arrest it at its deepest level, because now it's about to get into the direct movement. So from direct forward, then it will slow down to retrograde, and then now it is going to slow down, especially in the next couple of days, before it goes forward again. So we can take this vacuum. So you know when a movement goes into the difference between one direction and another, right? Backwards or forwards, for example, right? There will be a moment where when it turns to go backward or when it turns to go forward, it is in void, right? And when the energy is in void, we can take it and control it. We can shape it, reshape it. So that's why you see that the past couple of my workshops, right, this is my emphasis. I work with when the planet or the transition of the months, whatever you want to call it, right? And this one's happening right at the transition of this month. So even more aligned as a portal, right? And you can then grab hold of it and then you what? You basically release the energy back once you have basically manipulated it, right? So if you want to heal it, you want to heal and then reshape it, transform it, and then you want to take hold of it in the your own proactive sense, right? That means you want to creatively use to manifest forward. Then you use it when it is in void, because that's when it is in limbo and you can actually catch it. If not, it will be flowing. It will be flowing mostly forward most of the time, and sometimes an energy actually is retracting backwards, right? Such as in a retrograde. That is the basis of it, and that's why this particular timing of the transition into the monkey month, hence the Lion's Gate, is very powerful. Okay? And then we have it paired with the depths and the heights of the full moon. Right? So on paper, tomorrow, August 8th, is also the Chinese full moon calendar-wise. But in reality, that means we look into it in the sky and all that, it is actually peaking on Saturday, August 9th. Right? So not only do we connected to the hearts of our depths in terms of the solar, our soul, in terms of the connection to the home of our souls, which is the sun, but we are also experiencing at the same time that our key lunar influence, right? The influence of the feminine energy, the moon, is also at its peak. So maximum also. So that's why this opening of the human's portal, right? The Lion's Gate, the Serpent's Gate, because it's occurring in 2025 itself, is super, super powerful, right? So that's why we have the three connections there, which are aligned, right? We have the connection of our spirit, right, which is the sun, right? And then, of course, our own physical body, our reality of our soul living now in our current physical state. So for me, as To Kong Yu, right, that's our body, that's the human part. And then we also have the mind, which is the moon at its peak, related to the cycle of the moon, right? Because the thoughts are basically governed by that, and then the thoughts will create the emotions, and metal produce water. So that's how powerful this particular opening of the monkey month is, right? Which starts today, tomorrow, and into the upcoming couple of days. So that's why you see that our calendar this weekend is jam-packed. Okay, so I'll get into that in a short while, but you probably, if you're a follower and then you're getting the email blast, you know what's happening now this coming weekend. Okay, so just for completeness sake, those of you who are interested and trying to find more understanding, right, about how the planetary transits affect us, and in particular how the alignments are so aligned and so powerful at this particular moment, right? Let's take a look at some key points of the Western astrology side of things. So you see, right, so we have Sun in Leo, for at least, which is at its peak position now on August 8th, and then after that it will move to Virgo on August 22nd. Okay, then Mercury Leo in the same sign of the Sun's home planet or home sign. Okay, so that's already what I explained, right? Then of course we also have this connection connected in a more direct combination way, right? They call it a sextile, right, with Mars in Libra. And Mars is of course governing the sign of Aries, and Aries in Libra is actually an opposition or a balance, because the Mars planet is about our more centered, self-centered free will, what we want to achieve that is only directly related to what we want, right? Not considering other people, other circumstances, right? So it's also very important because every layer of energy is important, because we have to be able to honor what we want, right? But in Libra is what others want. Right? What we consider when we interact with everybody who's external to us. That's why the Libra sign is generally seen as diplomatic, right? Because you have to take into considerations everybody's opinion, in their position, and so on and so forth, right? So that's why they are actually in an opposition. But I always like to see opposition as balance, which means that this is a softer Mars. This is a more considerate Mars. It's considering value and also relationships. So happening at the same time as this particular moment means that we have the opportunity to realign. So that's why it's an active alignment based on values and relationships, right? But what helps this, of course, is the heart activation. Heart activation because we are at the Lion's Gate moment, where Sun is in the peak of Leo and the heart of Leo. And then at the same time, we also have the the Tai Sui, which is now moving in Jupiter term, right? Already moving forward, right, in the sign of Cancer since a couple of months ago, and then it is appearing in the same part of the sky as Venus, right? They're both in Cancer at the same point. It's called a conjunction, and this is happening just a few days into the month itself. So this is happening on Tuesday. So this heart expansion and the activation of heart energy, right? If we drop into it, so that's why you see the breathwork reels that I've released on my page recently, right? They're all to do with, mostly, of course, is to cool down the system and to regulate qi in this hottest time of the year. Second of all, a lot of it has to do with connection to the heart. So that's why we have that. In other words, when you want to be more in tune with yourself, what your soul wants, what your heart desires, to boldly move forward, you have a better opportunity to do so now, right? So that's why it's very important. And then this is preceded by, okay, this is review, right? The ability for us to take quantum leaps, which is what? Uranus. Uranus is the anchor planet which governs the sign of Aquarius, and it is the sign that has to do with sudden shifts. Sudden ability to leap somewhere else, to break up and shake and completely discard the old and so on, right? But of course, this takes courage, and this takes the ability to move without attachment and holding on to things or the past and things like that. So we already have this afforded ever since Uranus moved into Gemini. Gemini is related to Mercury, right? And then this had already occurred at the start of the previous month. So this is the underlying energy that supports us to break out, shift, and take quantum leaps if we're bold enough to do so, and then at the same time be able to connect it to our heart's desire. Because when you manifest with your heart, that is the key. And our subconscious will know when we're not doing that. So it might work for a while to a certain degree, but after that there'll be some sort of self-sabotage that goes on if we manifest without being in tune with our hearts and what our heart truly wants, yeah? So, and then at the same time, just to finish off the color here, right? So how is the energy of temperance? Temperance means what? Trying new things, experimentation, right? If this doesn't work, then I will try to tweak it like this. So it's like cooking and you're trying to adjust a recipe based on the actual act of cooking itself, right? So that's temperance. And this adjustment opportunity is afforded by Mars in Libra. Like I said, one is about wanting to get something done. The other one is considering the circumstances. So you have that. Well, get something done, but considering the circumstances. So try this, that doesn't work, try something else. Oh, this doesn't really consider that aspect of it, so it can't, so I will move and try that instead, and so on, right? And this is happening at the same time in an opposition to Saturn, which governs long-term commitment. Things that take a longer energy focus, shall we say. If we don't work, we talk about time in its relative sense, right? But things that take a lot of energy put into it so that it can develop and grow into something, that's governed by Saturn. So that's why it's considered commitment, obligations, and so on. And then we have the anchor planet of our human spirituality, okay, governed by planet Neptune, in the sign of Aries, which is related to Mars, which is about individual, new free will. Right, so this is all happening at the same time, giving us the opportunity to shake and break and move and create. Right, that actually all rhymed quite nicely. Okay, so now we move on, right? So some key reminders here, right? Every time we do something new, we want to initiate it in the biggest bang possible, right? And because the energies are so strong in this basic 5 days, okay? Today, tomorrow, right? The weekend, and then into Monday and also Tuesday. So that's about 6 days, right? And if you look into all those of you who are into analyzing planetary transits, you just look into what's happening, right? What is opposing what is sextiling what is connecting to what, right? It's all happening, not all out, okay? A bulk of it is happening over the next 6 to 7 days. So that's why we really open the Serpent's Gate with a huge bang, right? And as we practice in Chinese metaphysics, the beginning phase is always important, correct? So when we celebrate the New Year, so the first 15 days is most important. When we move into the whichever, solar or lunar, right? So we create the biggest bang over, right, the first few initial stage. So similarly, right, we create the biggest bang over the opening of the Human's Portal, or welcoming the Monkey Month, or walking through the Lion's/Serpent's Gate. So initiate. right? This next few days all the way up to next Tuesday, Wednesday, thereabouts, right? So, and overall, of course, right, some key reminders here, drop into your heart. Use your breath, just breathe. Of course, the deeper you go, the more connection you have to the energy centers which are lower in your body, namely the solar plexus, and then most importantly is the heart. If you breathe like normal, without really thinking about it, and without really slowing down to breathe deeper, then we would normally miss the activation of our power centers, which is lower in our body, right? So just drop into your heart, listen to it, and follow what it wants, right? And then take the opportunity to transform whatever that doesn't work, to transform to something that is working or will work, or transform to something that you want. And then after that, use the other layer of the energies to create and then grow from there, right? For the rest of the month itself. But pay attention to especially how the opening of the month goes. That's why whatever that you want to initiate that you want to do, right, do it all over the next few days or as much as you can, right? That you can take control yourself. Okay, so that is the presentation material, right? So a quick hello to Lori watching from Japan. Okay, so because of that, so our next few days is crazy, okay? So what's happening, right? So of course we have our online Lion's Gate, which we call the Serpent's Gate, right? Which is more aligned, right, to the overall energies as a whole. So that's happening tomorrow night. So this is going to be a session that you do not want to miss. I know many of you have already signed up for it. We appreciate it. So tune in to us where we activate the opening of the Serpent's Gate, the Humans Portal of 2025, and of course the Lion's Gate of the year as well. Okay, so that's happening there. So QR code there in case you have not signed up for this. Okay, and then this is happening tomorrow night, right? And of course, the next day is the first day of the last phase of the San Fu Tian period. So this is very important, and of course Anne has been producing this series of workshops. The last one was online, the first one was physical in person. This third one, the final one, will be physical in person in our studio in Casa Utama PJ, right, happening at 10:30 a.m. Right, so do not miss this because this is your last chance to tweak your internals for better protection and nourishment against the winter diseases and the cold and dampness of winter generally. So please do sign up for this. The QR code is right there, right? And we purposely made all of these intro workshops that Anne is teaching and helming herself, right, at a very, very friendly price here. Right? It's only 50 ringgit per person. So please come join us in the studio and make full use of this very important first few days of the monkey month itself. Okay, and then because it is such a powerful weekend, so from way back, I've already been planning this particular workshop, right? So we're almost at full house. There are only 1 or 2 spots left, but if you really truly want to do your inner work, okay, which is the crux of the energy of the serpent, the snake itself, right? And in this case, we want to guide it through the manifestation possibilities that is enabled with the Serpent's Lion's Gate, right? Please do join me if you are around this place, or if you like to make a little travel, you can also do that, okay? So there's only 1 or 2 more spots. We're almost sold out. So this is happening on the evening, okay? 2-night session. So there's some people who ask me, why are you doing it at night? Because it's the weekend, right? Why not daytime? But because we want to connect to the moon energy. Remember, the full moon will be upon us now. The moon is almost at its fullest state lah. Tonight already is very beautiful. Andrew sent a picture, I think, in one of the Soul's Journey WhatsApp group, right? So, and this will get even more fuller over the next couple of nights. So that's why we want to tap into moon energy. Of course, we have to do this at night. And then just a little heads up, the reason why the August 10th Sunday session is also at night, yes, we're tapping into the lunar energies of the full moon, but we're also connecting it into the very powerful Monday. Monday is a Ren Zi day, pure water. It's a pure water day, and water is the energy of immediate vibration. Right? So that's why we talk about manifestation, and we're going to throw it forward with the powerful opening of this gate here. We connect to Monday through Sunday. Connect to Monday through Sunday. Makes sense, right? Especially crossing into the rat hour itself. So 1 or 2 spots left if you would like to grab this opportunity to work at the really full inner work level. I welcome you and I hope to see you in studio, right, on Saturday and also Sunday. So that's that. And then, like I said, it's a jam-packed weekend for us. Our second Soul's Journey, which is actually going to be first, okay? That means it's occurring earlier, right? So this Soul's Journey is happening in May of 2026, okay? We launched our our first Soul's Journey, which is happening later in 2026 to Uluru, Australia, and that's already fully subscribed. That is going to be a wonderful trip myself. But on the complementary part, this is going to be the part that will be the more of the yang manifestation part to do with creation and manifestation. So we're going to Japan, land of the rising sun. It's very exciting what's going to be happening there. And of course, Japan is like I had discovered 2 years ago when I first went there, first time in my life. Super comfortable, first world, right? Everything is convenient. The food everywhere. You throw a stone, you go to any restaurant also, thanks to their pride, right? In creating the best of the human experience. It's so damn good. Okay, service, etc., aside. So such a comfortable soul's journey. So if you're called, not just because it's comfortable and it's a first world country and the food is great, generally, right? Please do check out the trip briefing, which is happening on the morning of Sunday, 10th August. That's the sign-up code for you to get a free Zoom invite to join us for this trip briefing. Okay, so that's happening on Sunday morning. So, and then, not just that, right? We also kickstart our inner work online workshop. So you notice that every time we get towards the second half of the year, and especially into the final months, right, we will always to focus on tools which help us understand us better at its core. So an introduction to tarot, right? This is the perfect way to do it because we're going to talk about the 9 soul cards. Jessie will be running us through the soul cards, and it's an intro workshop. Right, I know many of you like to come to this and listen to Jessie's evolving perspective, right, on the soul's card. So, of course, you're a seasoned practitioner, you're more than welcome. But if you've never, got an experience with the world of tarot and you want to start it, so this is the perfect class for you to do because you need to understand the 9 soul cards as part of your education. So that's happening Sunday afternoon, right? And then, of course, at night, it will be the second day 2 session of my workshop. Okay, so those are all the activities that we have, which are specially curated again, right? And again, you know, like I said, when you follow a belief in astrology and you follow the flow of energy that is read or interpreted through astrology, and then of course feng shui and so on, right? Somehow things will line up by itself, right? And it just so happens that all of this makes it a very jam-packed opening of the Human's Portal, the start of the Monkey Month, and the Lion's Gate, Serpent's Gate with a big, huge bang. Okay, so please join us on these activities because that helps you do the activation itself. At the same time, also, whatever that you can, please do participate, and whatever that you need or can do on your own, please use this next 5-6 days to initiate all those levels of the energetic work that you can do. Okay, so with that, I think we're quite good for the day. Any questions, anything, right? Let's do a quick check. Hi, Margaret, right? Nice to see you online. I will get in touch with you fairly soon for our mid-year catch-up, right? And I'm just going to do a quick a check before we sign off, right? Quick hi to Teki, Pamela, right, who are also watching as well, right? And anybody else from there? Okay, any questions, any comments, right? Please do type into there as we get ready to close up today's session, yeah? So just some reminders here, remember, this is a very powerful, I think it's probably so far, and I sometimes say it, for more than just a particular month, but I think I've not seen the astrology line up as powerfully so far this year for this starting of the Monkey Month, right? That's one. And we've had some very powerful months this year, and the snake, right, slithers in and out in a very non-linear fashion to sort of, you know, give us the opportunity to work at the deep healing. You talk about the basic summary, right? That occurs at various junctions throughout the month, yeah? So remember, this is the direct combination month for the snake because the snake is directly combining with the monkey. And with this direct combination itself, it opens up so many energy levels that if we work with all of these multiple energy levels, because you see, you look at the snake, it combines, destructs, ungrateful punishment. It really is very focused, but yet in a very multi-layered way, right? If you look at any other animal sign, right, it does not have this interaction where fire becomes metal, fire becomes water. That's so strange. How is it even interconnected? If you look into any other combination or set of combinations of any of the animal signs, right, you see that it is way, like, it can be mystifying. But why? Because it is deep. That's the simple answer. So do deep work in this month. Right? Don't just go for the outward, what you want to achieve, what you want to fulfill, what sort of obligations and KPIs you need to chase and all that, because that is very normal. That's mundane. This is much more powerful, an opportunity to get really deep and to do inner work. So please do embrace it to the depths that you can. Okay, so thank you so much. Right, you're welcome, Margaret. Right, and I think we're good. And thank you so much. All the links are also posted at the topic of today, right, or topic of the Facebook Live itself. If you can, well, right now you can also still share this feed out to your timeline. And those of you who are watching this post live, if you can help me do that, that would be great. If you follow me officially on my page, that would be really wonderful. And I thank you in advance for that as well. Okay, so have a wonderful Big Bang opening to the Wood Monkey Month, and I wish you all the best. Thank you so much. See you the next time. Bye-bye.